Yeah, because you're in California.
Yes, I'm in California, but you're in Arizona?
Yep, it's probably hotter here.
For us, we're babies. We don't do that.
Yep.
Welcome. We are here live with the Get Up Girl podcast. I am your gal and your host, Joanna Vargas. And today I have a guest, first time to the Get Up Girl podcast. Her name is Tierney Shirell. And we met at the Powerhouse Women's event a couple weeks ago in Arizona. That's what we're just talking about, where she's used to the 3-digit degree weather and I am not. So we're melting over here right now.
Yep.
Tierney, it is a pleasure. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited because you and I sat next to each other and then we started chatting up. And
Yep.
you said you were going to launch a podcast. I'm like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, do you want to be on mine? Perfect. So I'm really excited because you and I today are going to be talking about mental wellness and talking about the importance of, having a coach for many different aspects in our lives. And you are the creator of and the founder of Live Bold movement. And you're also a mental wellness coach. So first question to you, how did you get into mental wellness coaching?
Wow. Okay. So let's try and condense this so it doesn't take 2 hours to explain. So I've had a mental wellness journey, going all the way back to, I would say 18, 19 years old, really started experiencing what I later learned almost 20 years later was bipolar 2 disorder. And so those very extreme mood swings, dealing with extreme depression. And then I'd have, hypomanic phases where you're very high energy and everything. And, but then it's followed by this horrible crash. And I just, in going through that whole journey, I will skip over, the 20s of, self-diagnosing, self-medicating, all the things because I didn't get help. And I finally got to a point after my third child with postpartum depression and feeling suicidal that led me finally to, I guess, a breaking point to actually get help. And so I went in and got that diagnosis, after I went through everything. And it was like a light bulb went off, this huge sense of relief that like everything I'd gone through in the past almost 20 years made sense, And fast forward, getting through that diagnosis and treatment and figuring out like what worked for me to really channel that, as I kind of call it, like my superpower, and using the energy and everything from that. And that's when I really started stepping into my faith, and I got a faith coach. And through that process, I, just connecting with everybody, a mutual friend kind of suggested, hey, maybe you're meant to be a coach, and I kind of laughed and was like, no, that's not my thing, And all of a sudden I came across this program. It was called the Mentally Strong program to certify coaches. And I decided to check that out, and I ended up doing their program and getting certified. And so, now it's like, come full circle. It's like the thing you struggle with the most. All of a sudden now I'm coaching other people through. So
Superpower. Yeah, I do want to back up because you said bipolar 2. What is the difference? Is there 1, 2? Is there 3?
There is, yes. And, learning all this stuff. So bipolar 1 is kind of that classic stereotype that people picture when they think bipolar, where, there's the manic phase, previously known as manic depression. And so it's, I hesitate to say more severe but, as going through it, I kind of, I feel like it is, bipolar 1 is more severe because manic episodes are much more, like a lot of people don't even remember when they've gone through that. And it can be days, even without sleep, and very, a lot of destructive behaviors, unfortunately. So with hypomania, it's high energy. You don't need as much sleep, but you're still self-aware of what's going on. You just, so yeah.
There's 1 and 2. There's no 3. Okay, interesting.
Not that I know of, but yeah.
Okay. Well, question for you. What was your first I'm going to say like episode or something that happened. Was there something in your life where you're like, whoa, because you said you were about 18 that you can remember where you're like, this is a little different, or I feel off, or I'm angry, etc.
Yeah, I was definitely it was the extreme mood cycles, which, at that age, a lot of times it just gets written off as, oh, they're just a hormonal teenager, dealing with all that. So yeah, it was really just I think when I was in it, it wasn't clicking, I kind of, like I said, would self-diagnose. Back then is when they came out with PMDD, the premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And so I was like, oh, yeah, that's me, give me that medication. And, I never really actually went in and looked at what was happening. I just was, the typical American thing, give me a pill, make it better. So it was really looking back in hindsight when I finally started researching that diagnosis and being like, yep, that's what I was doing that whole time.
Anything specific that happened? Because as I wish I want to talk about it more often. I talk about it, but when you have podcasts, you have got to talk about it again and again in case somebody missed that episode. But
Yeah.
for myself, I've been through it all. I was even in a mental hospital when I was
Mhm.
18 years old because my mom was just like out of ideas of what to do with me because I was just so, I'm going to use the word manic, but as I look back at it, I wish it was just a lot of other things.
Yeah.
However, I remember the first pivotal moment was I was 16 years old and I had gained a lot of weight. So that was a big thing in my world where I made it like extra, extra, extra huge. And I didn't want to go to prom. So I threw this fit, like literally threw a manic fit during
Mhm.
lunch at school and cursing, yelling. And I was a good student. I'm like I'm in the dance team. I'm the good student. I'm an ASB, etc. And I
Yep.
am throwing a major fit cursing. I don't give a F. I don't think this and that. So the what is it, vice principal, she
Mhm.
comes in and she has to calm me down and bring her into her office. So that was one of the big pivotal moments, and I was so embarrassed because as soon as I came down, then I started to cry and my
Mhm.
dad had to come pick me up. That was the worst thing on the planet because I didn't want anybody to know. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to know what I'm going through. But I did want everybody to know because I was throwing a tantrum. I want you all to know, but I don't want you to know. It was a
Right.
hiding and an unhiding, a hiding and an unhiding. And that's where I felt going back and forth. And from there, it just kept escalating,
Mhm.
escalating. Everything was tenfolds. Anything that happened, it was like extra, extra. And then so my mom felt like she didn't know what to do with me.
Mhm.
So took me into a mental hospital. But now, how many years later, very similar to yours, where I just got coaches and I started to learn, and it was a superpower,
Yeah.
Tierney. It is a superpower. So you said superpower for you. How is a superpower for you? Because I really want people to get this.
Yep. And just to comment on, that as you were mentioning about feeling, it's one of the quotes, and I'm not going to try and remember who it was from, but in dealing with, something like bipolar, is it's both a blessing and a curse to feel things so deeply. And that's the reality, is like we feel the joy and the happiness and all the good so deeply, but we also feel the depression and the anxiety and the anger super deeply too. So, oh, can you repeat the previous question? I totally lost my train.
How is it a superpower for you now?
Oh, yes. So I feel like number one, it's the self-awareness. Like as soon as I think people tend to go like one of two ways. It's like you can get a diagnosis like that, and all of a sudden that becomes your identity, and you
Mm,
just, go into, yeah. Or you can be like, okay, I have this, but that doesn't define me. And so, just looking at, okay, all the different traits and everything, all the things that got us into trouble as kids, right? I know a lot of people who identify as ADHD as their superpower. It's like all the things that got us in trouble as kids, being super loud and too much and all the high energy and all the things. And it's like those are the things that are actually our superpowers that we can channel into doing good. with. So I feel like being self-aware of like where the mood is. Obviously, I do a ton of things with nutrition and fitness and supplements and my CBD. That's a huge part of my life, as you know, to regulate as much as possible in my sleep. And but you know, being aware of like, okay, you know, I'm starting to feel like this might be a little bit of a down cycle. So just having that self-awareness to really, you know, take the time, okay, I may need extra sleep, you know, on, you know, this week when I'm feeling down. But then when you also feel like you have that up cycle, instead of letting it lead to destructive things, which it used to, you know, using that energy to be like, yeah, I'm going to get on, you know, working on my business and doing all these things and doing all the things that require more energy and more time when I don't need as much sleep, or, you know, and just riding those waves and using them for good. Yeah.
I do the same exact thing. So right
Mhm.
now I'm kind of in a down cycle, not mentally, but more physically. I feel very,
Yeah.
very tired of the last couple 3 days. And before I would have beat myself up, I would have extra caffeinated, et
Yep.
cetera, right? And just judged the heck out of me through
Yep.
those 3 days. Rather
Yeah.
than, you know what? These 3 days are a really slow 3 days. So I'm gonna just do whatever's required, like if I need to do that, etc. And then when I ride those waves, Tierney, oh, I ride those waves, and I
Yep.
will do 4 times as much as what like somebody normally would do during a work day,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yep.
how I'm able to use my superpowers. But before I used to judge myself through it and try to be so
Yes.
even through it, like the wave had to be even all the time.
Hmm.
And I like how you said down cycle. Are there some tools that you use? Because what I do, number one for me, is a shower or a bath. I've
Yep.
learned that that's very important to me when I start to go, oh, all right, you know
Mhm.
what? Let me take a bath. Let me
Yeah.
take a moment. Let me take a shower. And then I have like a million other tools. But what are some of the things that you do when you're in a down cycle?
Definitely making sure I get my workout in. That's, you know, no matter if I'm do not want to do it at all, just getting some sort of movement in that's going to get the heart rate up and, you know, release the endorphins, get, you know, everything, because I think a lot of times it has to do with hormones as well. We get to enjoy that as women.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then protecting my sleep for sure. I think that's just, you know, I will go to great lengths to make sure I get to bed and I get a solid 8. And, you know, when it is that time, you know, I need like 9 to 10.
Yeah.
And
I'm a
yeah,
9 girl too, as well.
yeah.
Yep. 7 to
So,
9, but 9 is the sweet spot. It
right?
is. And that's another one. I judged myself because I would compare, "Oh, they get 5? Like, I'm so jealous, and I'm
I
this."
know.
My superpower is that I could sleep like juicy, just I love it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And but I love how you use the word protect,
Yeah.
protecting your sleep. I am the same way. When I started dating my boyfriend, we had many conversations of, okay, I want you to understand that
Yep.
sleep is very important to me. So I need to go to bed. And he kind of got it. He's like, yeah, yeah. No, I'm serious. I
Yeah.
need to get to bed right now. It has nothing to do with you. You need to go home, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and not take it personally. And
Yeah.
really protecting that. If I'm out with the friends, if I'm out doing something, I'm like, okay, I plan ahead and
Mhm.
then knowing, all right, how am I going to recuperate this sleep? How, like sometimes I'll go, okay, I could do 6 hours, but Joanna, you know, in 3 days, you're going to have a down cycle. Girl, you got to
Yes.
get your sleep. So
Yep.
how do you protect your sleep? Tierney, so anybody listening is like, you know what?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's challenging for me because I'm a mom, etc. What would you tell them?
Yeah, well, yeah, that is my top challenge for sure, is because, you know, I have 3 kids. They're 13, 11, and 7. They're in activities. It's like ideally I'd be like, "Yep, all right, 8 PM, everybody's asleep. Mommy's in showering in bed by 9. We're done. We're good." I get and life doesn't work that way, you know? So, yeah, I mean, you know, my husband and I definitely share the bedtime routine for sure. And, you know, it's just a juggling act of going through and then I like to shower at night. That's like part of my bedtime routine, just kind of like wash
Yeah.
off the day, you know, take a nice shower, do my whole skincare routine.
Yep.
And then I do the 5-minute journal. And that's a new habit, which I really like, because
You have
that's a
a
new
book?
the Powerhouse Women event. I got a
Yes. Yeah.
5-minute journal and it's so like, you start a habit like that and you're like, "Why haven't I been doing this forever?" It's such a great habit, and I love to write. So it's like, that's one of the best things you can do, and it's so quick. It's like the little 5-minute one is a great one to start, because it's less than 5 minutes, and so, yeah, it's like the shower, the journaling, and then I like to read at night, but I do it on my Kindle because I want the lights off and I want it dark,
Right.
and also protecting the sleep. We have like crazy blackout shades in our room. Like I don't want to even see a sliver of any kind of light. So that's huge for me. And we use sleep machines, the white noise machines.
White noise. Got
So yeah,
it. Right.
those were all that's my routine. So
I love that, Tierney, because a lot of people talk about the morning routine, and I have both. I have middle routines, I got lunch routines, I got
yep,
I have afternoon routines. Like, let's get real. But
yeah.
would you say, Tierney, that your evening routine is even more protected than your morning?
Yes, because as much as I know we're not supposed to say I'm not a morning person, but I I'm a night person. I'm a night owl. I could stay up, if I didn't need, and I wasn't so concerned about making sure I get that sleep, like, I can stay up till all hours in the morning and sleep as late as I want if I had the option.
Got it. Yeah, I do
So,
want to tap
yeah,
on that because many times I go through seasons, and I know other people too. I'll go through seasons where I'm a morning person. I'm like,
yeah.
it's all in the morning. And then I'll go through seasons where I'm like, it's an 11 a.m. season. Where 11 a.m. is my time. And then I'll go through seasons where 7 p.m. I want to work. And
Yeah,
seasons for me can be weeks, they could be months, they could be years.
yeah,
And that was another thing I used to judge myself through it because I'm like, no, you were a morning person before. You should be a morning person every single day for the rest of your life. Like, no, I am I'm this and I'm that. And I'm in a season
mhm,
right now, just like Mother Earth is in seasons. I go through seasons. So that was the reason why I asked you that. And I wonder if
yeah,
things change with you as well, because we're so big on just talking about the morning routines. And I
yeah,
even teach a class on it. I go, let's talk about morning routines. Oh, like that's not even in their forefront. It's all about the
yeah,
morning. And then what we do, we just crash by the end. And I love
yeah,
an evening shower. I'm the same way. Like I
yeah,
just wanna, this is my downtime. I love water. So I
yep.
love the blackout curtains for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, people laugh when they see and we in all our kids' rooms too. It
Like
is like
vampires.
yeah, I mean, it's like taped to the wall to make sure nothing comes in. Yep,
I'm laughing because I could sleep through light, through anything. I'm just
that's
like
awesome.
out.
Yeah,
I even have like a little night light. It could be dark light. People are like, how do you sleep with that? I'm like, I need my sleep. I can sleep through anything.
that's awesome. I'm jealous.
Thanks for sharing those blackout curtains, because somebody listening can go, oh yeah, you know what? There is a slither of light. I could tape it to the wall.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not kidding. They actually make something that you can put on the side of your curtains, but we're like those crazy people who like for traveling, we bring, like electrical tape to put over random lights that are in the hotel room and things. I mean, yeah, it's I'm
That
serious about my sleep.
is amazing.
Yep.
We should just talk about sleep. Yeah, it's just it's such a gift, right? Because that's where we what's the word, like re-energize. We just
Yeah. And
everything.
your brain that's when your brain repairs itself, and especially with somebody with mental health issues. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Daniel Amen at all, but his whole thing is the end of mental illness and that there is no such thing as a mental illness. It's a brain health issue. And
Ooh,
it's like, it's the truth. Somebody was in a car accident or had a fall or had some sort of brain trauma or whatever it happens, even from abuse, it could be from anything. There's things going on in your brain that just aren't firing correctly or the levels are off. And sleep is so crucial for those to repair.
yes,
Um,
sleep, exercise, movement.
yes.
Yes, Tierney.
Yep.
I want to go back to when you mentioned awareness and having the awareness around it, and what you just talked about with this doctor. Also, the end of mental. What did you say? The end of
Illness.
mental illness. Thank
Mhm.
you. Because for me, from somebody that was in a mental hospital, having the contrast,
Mhm.
it's such contrast, but everybody wanted to label me. And I remember I'm going to bring you to that mental hospital. And
Mhm.
I was 17, 18. Most of the people in there were in their 40s or 50s, right? And I'm like
Mhm.
this young girl. I don't even know, my left from my right. I'm just goofy. And I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, again, yelling, going, I'm not crazy. I remember that distinctly because they were trying to give me a lot of drugs. And I'm just like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.
Mhm.
And I had to do whatever it took to let them know that I had the awareness, Tyranny. I couldn't
Mhm.
articulate it then, but I had the awareness of, look, nothing's wrong with me. Just something is a little off, so to speak. And that's it. I'm just a little
Mhm.
sad. I need some sleep, whatever. But they immediately, I could feel the judgment. They wanted to put a stamp on me and go,
Mhm.
you're bad, you're wrong, put you in a hospital and do this, and your life is over for the rest of your life, and you need to go to group therapy forever. It Now, look, this is not to impugn on anybody who's doing this, but I was aware of the judgment that was coming on it.
Mhm.
It's like they were looking down at me, like they were superior. That's what I was resisting. I was
Mhm.
resisting the stamp of, this is your sentence for the
Yeah.
rest of your life, the sentence. So I I want to tie this up with a big bow and about how you came out of it with coaches, because I did the same thing. I had a
Mhm.
coach for every single thing. It was like a
Yeah.
basketball team, right? They have the
Right.
defensive coach, offensive coach, they have the masseuse, they have the this, they have the head coach, right? So
Yeah.
who and what kind of coaches did you have, and how did it help you have that contrast that I was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I started with a faith coach, which is just basically a, Christian life coach. And so that kind of, got me, leaning in more to what was going on. And to kind of mention on, exactly what you were saying about the whole labels and all that, that's precisely why, that stigma, that judgment, why it took me almost 20 years to
Mm,
actually go get help.
mhm,
And, it's like, and then obviously I had a therapist, so and that's why I like, this program that I did, that's the mental health coaching, because they kind of call it like the in between of like, just hanging with your friends and having, talking it out with them, and therapy. So it's like you're kind of a coach is like that in between. And then also, obviously when you're in a relationship and there are mental health issues, that causes a lot of strain in a marriage. And so we have a couples relationship coach as well. And we went and not knocking therapy. I think everybody should have a therapist, but we tried the like actual couples therapists, and that did not work for us. I'm sure we could find another one that, might have just been that particular one, but we really like this coaching because it's a couple coaching a couple. So you get all the sides. And then obviously we are both entrepreneurs. So now we have business coaches and mentors and things. So yeah, I'm a huge advocate for having a coach, mentor, whatever you want to call it, in all the areas of your life, you know?
all the areas. Yes.
Yeah.
Tyranny. Oh, I just had a conversation on the podcast a couple weeks ago with one of the gals. She didn't go to Powerhouse this year. However,
Mhm.
she's in the same circle. We were talking about the level of investment, financially, time, etc. That many times
Yeah.
we don't talk about it. Like, hey, how much did you invest? Oh, cool,
Mhm.
interesting. And having these conversations
Yeah.
rather than oh, it's kind of like a secret, almost like. And if you're not able to invest that money, starting with podcasts, starting with books, I mean, a book is what, $15, or you
Yeah.
can get one free. Books are free at the library.
Right?
I mean, there's so many different levels that you can take, but there is something about putting your money where your mouth is when you get a coach. There is a little
Yes.
difference, right, Tierney? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And different level of investment, of showing up, of the person as well. Because what I've noticed in, and jump in if you have a different point of view, but
Mhm.
more and more now with podcasts that are free and YouTube that
Mhm.
is free, I'm seeing the self-help, the self-diagnosis, the
Mhm.
podcast is enough, and I'm like, cool, this is great.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
else? It's the and what else? What do you think
Yeah.
about
Yeah, and also, it's funny, that I was just listening to an episode of the Powerhouse Women podcast, and she was talking specifically about, when we invest, and this is exactly how I used to be, we tend to invest in a coach or mentor based on who we are right in that moment.
Oh,
And
Tierney.
I feel like that's how you get over the investment part. It's like, no, you need to be investing for the person you want to become, either a year from
Woo!
now or at the end of this program or what else it is. And that's been life-changing 100%, because it used to be, yeah, like I said, all about, oh gosh, how much does this cost? And, you're like, oh, when you see that come out, but then you're like, wait, no, the person I'm going to be at the end of this, that's who I'm investing
Oh,
in.
so
And
worth it. The
yes.
word's worth
And
it.
I've literally never invested in a coach that I regret the amount I spent, whether it was hundreds, thousands, whatever, yeah. So
Yes, Tierney, even if it on paper, quote unquote, didn't work out with that
yeah,
coach, it
yeah,
did work out because I received something from it.
yep,
Oh, when I got that, because there was some resentment of like, oh, that coach wasn't worth it. Blah. And that was just me and my distraction. I'm like, wait, I really took something away from that.
yeah,
And I'm on to somebody else now. But it did work
yeah,
out because I received something and it worked. But our level of what worked out means like I was supposed to be saved and everything's perfect. I'm like, no, I'm on this journey. It was a piece of the pie. It was
yeah.
a piece. And I'm like, okay, on to the next. I think of what's that movie? Wizard of Oz, and she's on the
Oh,
yellow brick road, right? I'm just
yep,
keeping that
yep,
yellow brick road. That was the scarecrow. Now I'm on to the next, So I'm like,
yep,
it did work out. And
yep,
on to the next yellow brick road. Oh gosh, so
yeah.
great. I was going to say something really juicy and I forgot.
Oh no.
You're going to be starting a podcast. That is
Yes.
juicy too. And
Yeah.
it's called Live Bold Movement.
Mhm.
When does it launch? Tell us about it.
Ooh, okay. I don't have a date yet. I'm actually starting yet another coach, right? Or mentor. I'm
Yay.
starting a podcast launch program with another powerhouse woman that I met through that community. And so I'm thinking it's probably a few months out still because we have to do a whole rebrand and everything. But yeah, the whole premise, I said with bold has just kind of been my theme. And, it's like the main trait, I think that it's always been where I felt I had to tamp it down, and not be too much for everybody or make everybody uncomfortable. And so now I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, I don't
You
care.
are too
You know
much.
what?
Let's make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We
That
are
makes
too
you
much.
uncomfortable. You're not my people. So, yeah. And it's just all about, shattering the mental health stigma, and helping people step into who God made them to become and, just getting over that hurdle because it took me way too long and I don't want people to deal with that. So
Congratulations. I
thank
look forward
you.
to that. So we will put that in the show notes.
Okay.
Even if somebody's listening to this later, they could totally check out that podcast. They
Yep.
could follow you on Instagram at Tierney Shirell,
Mhm.
right? And that's 2 R's, 2 L's.
Yes.
And the thing I was going to say before we put this a little bow on this, or a
Yes.
big juicy bow, is what Lindsay Schwartz says, and you can follow her on Instagram, Lindsay Schwartz, is when you pay attention. That's
Yes.
what she says. Yes. So going back to that's what I wanted to say. That was juicy.
Yep.
But when we invest, when
Yep.
we pay attention.
Yep.
Yes. I'm not saying that we don't pay attention when it's free, but there's a little difference there. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
stand up straight. You like you show
Yes,
up.
and you can be very subject, and 100% guilty of it in the past of the shiny object syndrome when it's all free stuff. Ooh, this person's teaching that. Ooh, this person's teaching that, and then you just like absorb, and you don't actually put anything into action. So,
Overconsumption. That I am a
yes. Yeah.
what is it? A recovering overconsumption gal. I really
Yep.
recovering. Yep.
Amen.
And Tierney, I wonder if that's like in our personalities of the manic, because I thought
Yeah.
it was going to save me. It was going to fix me. And I'm like, there's nothing to fix. I'm awesome. Let's just use this as a superpower. And as soon as I
Yeah.
change that, rather than this is wrong, fix me. No, this is my superpower. How does it help me?
Yes.
Yeah. And then
Love
once it
that.
changed, I no longer like binge on all this stuff where I need it to help me.
Yes.
Anybody else listening out there too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody is in our same boat. Tierney, it was such a pleasure. Oh, so good to see you after the event
Yes,
as
you
well. Hopefully
too.
see you again next year. And everybody
Oh,
listening, yeah,
absolutely.
follow
Yes.
Lindsay Schwartz, go to her Powerhouse Women so you can meet people just like Tierney and so that you can have chats with them afterwards. Yeah. And congratulations on everything. Say hello to your family. Love it. And until next time, thank you for
Yes.
listening to the Get Up Girl podcast. And we'll see you next time.